Talk a little bit more about this idea of the balance between technology and distribution, right? And I think that it's a very interesting and valuable framework for people to understand because just like in the early days of the internet, we saw a lot of people who built some amazing technology, but it might not have been as user friendly as it needed to be. They might not have actually had the distribution that they needed. So, how do you think through that kind of balance between the technology innovation and the distribution actually get it in people's hands?
Again, very good question. I think, if you look at, certainly on the consumer side, if you look at most consumer companies in, certainly in the tech world, they are mostly successful because of their distribution, at least from the data I've seen. There are some exceptions. Now, of course, I think it's important to know there is a minimum level of quality that you need for a product, right? Like if the product needs to keep people's money safe, it needs to keep people's money safe. Or if it needs to be able to send something from A to B, it needs to be able to do that. But at some point, and I think it's also, when markets start maturing and when competition starts picking up, the distribution part of the equation becomes a lot more important. So I think in the beginning, like crypto is a good example. In the beginning, it was all about product because there were genuinely issues, there were risks that, you can't just say, oh, we're some crypto company and it's really exciting and, buy your crypto with us, but then it gets stolen the next day, right? That's a problem. So you solve that with building really good products. And I think, the crypto industry and for a lot of kind of the larger players, we all have to be, we have to acknowledge that a lot of the growth and the traction we've seen in our industry wasn't because we had the most amazing products. It was because the media wrote about crypto the whole time. And if the media are, and I'm talking more like 2017, 18 cycle now, if the media are writing about it the whole time and there's no competition, I mean, at that stage, there was very few places you could buy Bitcoin, even in the US and most other markets. People are going to, go to your platform and it's going to create this illusion that you've built a product that is just so amazing that you never even have to think about distribution. I think we are way beyond that point now. I think the next cycle, so there I would say, the right thing was 80% product, 20% distribution. But that is going to swing over the next few years. And I think it's going to be the exact inverse of that, where as long as you have the minimum level of product quality, it is going to be, distribution where the game's going to be won, certainly from a competitive point of view. The last thing I just mentioned there as well, and again, very pertinent for a lot of people in our industry, right? So, remittances, fantastic use case for crypto. I have no doubt in my mind in the next 10 or 20 years, crypto is going to form the basis of, most global remittances, and it's going to be completely transformative for people and for countries. And but if you were building a crypto remittance product today or over the last few years, you need to understand that the product, just the fact that it's being moved with crypto, I don't care if you're using the Lightning Network or whatever. I mean, we've built many products like this, previously. Your competitors are the Western Unions, the TransferWise, the Remitleys of the world. And because they are distribution companies. And so they've built those distribution channels, they've built those brands. Because consumers are not going to care how the money gets moved as long as it's just, it moves. And unless you have a massive price advantage, which you don't have at the moment because there's not enough liquidity in these markets to do it. So it means that when you are building a company, you have to understand what company you are building. If you are targeting remittances, you are building a remittance company, which means you're going to have to raise capital to compete with remittance companies that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars, that have licenses in all of these markets. It doesn't mean you can't win. It doesn't mean there's not a business to build there, but you have to understand the game that you are playing. And then you are 90% playing a distribution game. Whereas, when you're in the DeFi side of things at the moment, that's more a product game because we're not at that level of competition on the consumer side or on the distribution side again.